Terrific Tuesday, everybody. We are back. It's your man, Sammy the Man McIntyre. We are back with Moving the Chains podcast. We'll be rocking, hope we're rolling today on this terrific Tuesday. Got some coaching news I got to break down. Mike McCarthy getting introduced. Jesse Minter, as I talked about. I'm kind of going down this coaching path here of who to talk about, who not to talk about. But we got a lot of coaching news because it's kind of this dead period right now. I got to come up with something to talk about. So, hope we're doing well today. Got the news that Jesse Minter for the Ravens got hired. I thought that was a fantastic hire by the Ravens, a well-run organization that feels current. I would have rather them go on an offensive coach, Kevin Stefanski, that sort of thing. But they went Jesse Minter. And then I want to touch on Mike McCarthy. And the Steelers, man, I don't get where they're going. It just feels like they're the Pittsburgh Steelers to me. They're stale. So I'll touch on that. But first, I want to touch on the Baltimore Ravens with Jesse Minter. As anybody who knows, Jesse Minter was the defense coordinator for Michigan when they won their national championship. Then he followed Harbaugh to the Chargers, and they've had one of the better defenses probably in the league last couple of years. I think they had the fifth-ranked defense this year. So what that says to me about that hire with the Ravens is, hey, Lamar, we back you 100%. We're going to go this way, but we're going to go a different direction. And, you know, they've been well-run for most of my life, and they're always going to be well-run. And I have a take on the hire, but I think it's the smart move. Kevin Stefanski would have been cool for him to go to Baltimore to stick it to Cleveland, which, by the way, that's an absolute clown show of an organization right now. I mean, them putting Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl, oh my God, that just screams stupidity to me. Dumb. I don't even know what to make anymore. He had 7 touchdowns, 10 picks, 50 out of 51 quarterbacks in QBR, whatever. It's a popularity contest, is what it is. Having said that, though, I sticking in the AFC North, I do think Baltimore's still going to be well run. They got most of their quarterback. I do think their window is closed a little bit because Lamar's kind of had some injuries last couple of years. I'm not sure how good he is. You know, it's a little weird with the Harbaugh thing. I'm not sure. But I do know this with the Ravens. They're current. I trust them over the I trust them more over the Browns and the Bengals. So moving forward, I do think the Ravens still win that division because they have the best roster in that division, top to bottom, in my opinion, over the Steelers, who I'll touch on in a second. But that's kind of my 2 cents on it with them right now. But I think it's a really good hire. Derwin James spoke highly of him. I got to see if it translates to coaching and if that works, because a lot of coordinators go from coordinating and then try to be a coach and doesn't pan out. So we shall see how that transpires and how that relays. But I am sold on the hire. I think it was solid by the Ravens. Steve Bisciotti and the brass, they do not want to be in a rebuild. And that's the one thing I respect about the Ravens. Doing that 3-4 year rebuild is tiring. Go ask the Raiders. Go ask the Cardinals. Go ask the Browns. And the Ravens are not in that class. They are in the Packers class, the Rams, the Eagles, you know, the teams in the Super Bowl right now. Broncos, Patriots, they're in that kind of stability, well-run. And I do think that's where the Ravens are at. I thought it was a really good hire. I would give it a B. I really, if I was grading it, I hate doing the grading, but I would give it a B. I think he walks in a really good situation. The offense is already instilled. They got to find an offensive coordinator, but time will tell what that's going to look like in Baltimore. But good days were coming in the Queen City. And then on the Steelers side of things, look, I respect Mike McCarthy. He had a great run in Green Bay, 12 years, got a Super Bowl out of it. I think underachieved a little bit when he's had Aaron Rodgers and he had Brett Favre. But be that as it may, he got a Super Bowl out of it. And the one thing I respect, and I mean this sincerely, is the Steelers, to me, have an identity problem. And I'm not banging them on McCarthy hiring him. I thought it was stupid. I'm not a fan of it, in my opinion. It doesn't move me. It doesn't move the Steelers to be better. It just feels like they're stuck. Now, I do like that they're going an offensive-leaning coach compared to what they've been doing, the defensive route from Knoll to Cowher to Tomlin. It just feels like over and over and over, just banging your head on a wall. And they are going the offensive route. But here's the problem that Mike McCarthy faces. First of all, he walked into Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. He inherited those. And they inherited Dak Prescott, who, say what you want about him. Maybe he's Kirk Cousins with a better brand because he wears Jordan shoes, whatever. But he walked into that. Dak was already an established guy when he got the job. He doesn't have that luxury in Pittsburgh. And they got to go find a guy. Now, who that quarterback's going to be? Could it be Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy and him? Could they mend that relationship that kind of was toxic near the end in Green Bay? You know, McCarthy, Aaron calling him a low IQ guy, looked like a Pittsburgh cop and all that. It could be, I don't know. But right now, I'm not the most optimistic with this hire. It just feels like, to me, a stopgap. The Pittsburgh Steelers are so well run, and I respect a lot of them and what they stand for, and they're a big brand. And I mean, Mike McCarthy basically look up on third base. He could, when he dies one day, goes, "Hey man, I coached the Packers, I coached the Cowboys, I coached Steelers." It's a pretty great life. So that's one thing to look forward to. But I look at the Steeler team; they need to reboot this thing, reboot it. And speaking of the Packers, they had Jeff Hafley got hired. And I'll touch on him tomorrow. But when I heard the press conference with Jeff Hafley, sharp guy, right? Him and Ed Wood Sullivan from Green Bay, I think since 2000s, kind of how the Steelers operate. But the Steelers feel insular to me. They just feel like they're just kind of stuck. And the Steelers have been stuck for a long time. And it's not like the Steelers, Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in 9 years. Mike McCarthy's got one. In 9 years, it's not great. And you could say, well, it was the Cowboys. I mean, he had 2 home playoff games. He got bounced first round by both at home. So I just think the Steelers, they just I think they're stuck in their own ways. I just feel like they're too loyal at times. And they're all about the yins. And they're all about the tradition. And that's fine. I'm not banging on that. I'm old school too sometimes, but you got to adapt or die. And I just feel like the Steelers, they keep running into this. Like Mike McCarthy, I think he's a good coach, and he's capable, and he's won a Super Bowl. He's not a bum. But I'm not sold on the hire. They need a quarterback. There's no urgency there, which I don't understand why. You're in the AFC filled with 20-year-old kids at quarterback. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Mahomes, I'm just throwing names out. Burrow. And you got a 40-year-old guy? Come on, Pittsburgh. It's time to modernize, okay? I understand tradition, all that it's all good and for. But Mike McCarthy's 60. I would have rather gone the new guy, unproven, kind of rebuild this thing. Because you need to reboot. I know you went all in last year and you tried. But it just feels like they're kind of in this cycle of 8, 9, 10 wins. We get in the playoffs, and we get bounced. And at some point or another, you got to go offensive. Got to be risky. Got to take some chances. If you bang on the Packers for not taking chances, I don't know. Green Bay's won playoff games lately. I know they haven't won one, but they have. And they take chances. They got rid of a coach. Hey, Mike, you had a great run. Time to go. Bye. So we'll see what happens with the Steelers. I just feel like they went the comfortable route instead of the uncomfortable route. So we shall see. I'm just not, that wasn't a move that screamed moving to me. It screams comfortable, which is fine, but you're going to be stuck where you've been unless you change. So that's all I got for you guys today. Tomorrow I've got Raider coaching news because we might get Davis Webb, Clint Kubiak, cross my fingers. We'll get that job. I'll touch on Jeff Hafley, and I'll touch on some other coaching stuff cycle around the league. But that is all I got for you guys tonight. A little short pop, but I just wanted to hop on here and discuss what's been going on. But hope you guys are doing well. Terrific Tuesday. Adios. Godspeed.